Okay, it's public. Great. All right. So it is 5 o'clock. I am initiating this Facebook Live event. I have people who have submitted questions to me over the last few weeks, and I'm going to open up to whatever intuitive information wants to come through on this live event for whoever has submitted a question. It's my first time doing something like this. Let me just close down my email. And I'm excited. I'm going to start in just a few minutes, give people a chance to get on the event, especially people who have submitted questions. And, I've had a vision for doing something like this for a long time now. I love the idea of using a virtual community to create a group field. And I think it's an opportunity not only for specific people to receive answers to their questions, but for others who come on the call or the video as witnesses to also receive, whatever help comes to them through the discussion of these questions. So it should be good. It should be dynamic. I do have 9 questions to get through, so I will definitely be approaching this in a rapid results kind of quick hit kind of way. I want to be sure to get to everyone, and I want to give everyone their sort of due time and due diligence. So probably in the future, I'll limit it more to just 3 questions or so, and then that way we can go in a little bit deeper. But for tonight, we're gonna kind of diligently but quickly get through all 9. So having said that, I think I'm just going to jump in because we do have several questions to get through. And anyone watching this, just feel free to ask any question that you want to based on what I'm saying. You can ask questions about the general topic. If you need clarification, let me know. Any kind of question helps everyone because you might be asking something that's on someone else's mind. So with all that said, I'm going to jump in. So the first question that I have here is from Nicole. And Nicole is asking about money. She writes, I've laid so much groundwork and have a good resume. I've been doing stand-up with great results, and it is soul-filling. Why am I not financially abundant at this point in my life? Why am I unable to get to the next level? And then she's shared more, which I'll probably get to in a moment. But I just kind of want to drop in and just provide the initial quick hit answer. With you, Nicole, I'm going to be a little bit glib for a moment, and I'm actually going to probably take a little bit more time with this question because it feels like there's so much here, and I really want to reflect that to you. I feel how big this issue is for you, and it actually, when I drop into it, I start to feel overwhelmed. I can feel my body freeze up and kind of feel like I don't even know where to start. I don't know where to begin. So for me, this is information about you and your system and your feelings about this issue. So I just want to reflect that to you. But to be sort of glib and to be a wise ass for a moment, the reason why you're unable to get to the next level is because some part of you doesn't want to get to the next level. So that's stating the obvious, right? But it feels important to really name that because I hear where you really go into some deep demands on yourself, and I can hear some deep self-judgment you have for not being in a place where you're earning more money. And I think in that place you can really terrorize yourself and you can attack yourself. And so it's far more empowering and relieving for you to know on some level that there is an unconscious place inside of you that actually doesn't want to get to the next level and to earn abundantly in your creative field. Now, having said that, the question, of course, is which part of you is it that doesn't want to get to the next level? Whew, and again, I feel the overwhelm because there's different answers to this, Nicole, and it actually really like touches me. Like I really feel, I just feel the sadness. I feel how much is here. So I'm gonna start naming a few different threads that I think don't want to get to the next level. I think first and foremost, what I get. So what Nicole shared is that she came out to LA, had started working, and then worked consistently as an actress, and then a childhood illness came back in full force for 6 years. It depleted my savings. I was unable to continue to build upon my successes. And now she's feeling better, but she's still feeling stalled financially and creatively. And what I want to say to you, Nicole, is first and foremost, I can feel sort of going back to that little girl. I think even before the sickness came in, I feel such big, strong energy in you. I feel deep sexuality in you. I feel also deep rage in you. You talked some about, the difficulties in your childhood. And I just feel that there was a strong, intense energy you had as a little girl that was not supported. It wasn't allowed, and it's a part of you, and it's a part of your creativity. And I feel this place where it's like you were supposed to be the good little girl, and a good little girl can't have this sort of dark, juicy sexuality. She can't have this anger. So in a way, it's got to be neutered. I am very hesitant to get into sort of what's the word, like psycho-spiritual like explanations for your illness, because it feels in some ways like that's patronizing. I know this is like a very real thing for you, but having said that, I am going to sort of take a little bit of a risk here. You wrote later in your sheet, oh no, actually it was earlier, you mentioned childhood illness came back in full force. Childhood illness, those words stuck out to me so deeply and severely. It's this idea that you were out here in LA, you were an adult, building an adult career for yourself, and then this childhood illness came back and kind of kept you from your adult success. And I do have this feeling in some way, at least in this moment, like this illness has kept you childlike and small. So I just kind of want to name that. I want to name that my feeling around this is that even from a young age, there was probably a way that this kept you small, childlike, and out of this sort of strong energy that feels like it's such a core key part of your essence. So that's one part of you. I also want to say I pick up on this other part of you that just feels, and I feel like this predates the illness. This to me is not the same thing as the illness. I feel this part of you that just like literally, it's almost like I'm not saying this is literally what happened, but the image that I get is this baby that like didn't get the nurturing that she needed. Like, you hear about babies that don't receive the touch they need, that don't get the kind of just the nurturing they need to feel safe in this world. And it's almost like I'm hearing the word respirator. Like that's the image I get, like a little baby that's like on a respirator. And it really, like, again, it touches me. It feels so vulnerable. It feels like there's this place where you just didn't get everything you needed. And my sense of you as a stand-up comic and an actress and a writer is that you're so powerful, and that in your success, so much is going to come to you and through you. And it's like there's a part of your system that doesn't feel safe to let all that in, because you literally don't have like the grounding and the nurturing that you need to like be fully here and to be a container that can hold all of it. So that feels like a really sort of key part of you that doesn't want to get to the next level. So having said those two, and then I think there's a third piece, which is just, like I said, there's just the anger. You mentioned, that there were severe limitations in your childhood. I can feel the rage around that. And so I think that there's a part of you that's just kind of holding on to the old story because you didn't have room and space to express the rage and to kind of look around and say, what the fuck's going on here? None of this is okay. And so your anger kind of had to go underground. And I feel like it's turned against yourself. And so you sort of hold on to this story of, I can't get ahead. I can't get ahead. I'm locked into my family of origin. As a way for this sort of anger to kind of cycle around inside you, because it's never really had anywhere to go. And if you're allowed to be successful, then it's like, you know, it's like, then you have nothing to be angry about anymore, right? Because you're not being held back due to your family of origin. So the place inside of you that's angry at your family of origin, that never got to have its say, of course, on some level, it's going to want to stay stuck so it can continue to stay angry. So I know I'm saying a lot, Nicole, and I hope this all makes sense, and I hope this makes sense to the people that are listening. What I want to say to you as far as moving forward, there's a few pieces. One, know that this place inside of you that says, I'm not getting ahead. I need to get ahead. My life's at stake, my freedom, having better access to life-altering medications, freedom from my family of origin. It's so much pressure. It's such a huge demand that you're placing on yourself. And I'm telling you, it keeps you stuck in the cycle. As long as you are in your head in this fight or flight, I've got to figure this out. I've got to figure this out. I've got to figure this out. You are being hard on yourself and you are pushing money and success away. You are keeping yourself stuck in the story that you are never going to have these medications, that you're always going to be, locked into your family of origin. And know that this is you turning against yourself. And even though it might be tempting to believe those voices are trying to help you, because consciously they're saying, got to get to the next place, got to get ahead, got to get ahead. It's a very deceptive way to stay stuck. Because as long as you're thinking, got to get ahead, you're reinforcing the reality that you're not ahead. That's the reality that you're creating, that you're not successful, that you're never going to be successful, and it's on you to be successful. So please, for the love of God, Nicole, with everything that you can, try to back off the demand on yourself, try to back off the judgment, and understand that that voice does not serve you. I think the two things that you really, really sort of need that are going to unlock a lot more success for you are, one, truly surrendering to the help that you need. And I know you've been in process with this for a while. I know you've already made progress with this. I just have this feeling, you said something here about, I just don't understand why I can't book work like a regular actor. What came to me when I read that is, you're not a regular actor. You're not. You have this illness, and I understand it comes and goes. But you have to take care of yourself. You have to ask for help. And I just feel like any place in you where you resist that in any way and try to kind of overshoot it, white knuckle through it, do it on your own. I mean, I feel, even when I say that, my whole body tenses up. You are keeping yourself from the success that wants to come to you. There is a surrender that wants to keep happening, and a level of receiving that needs to happen, and nurturing that needs to happen, that is going to support you and make you feel safe to receive all that wants to come towards you in terms of success and creative power. Okay, so truly, Mijan, this isn't you. This is Nicole. So truly, I want to really sort of invite yourself to give you permission to see what it means to fully surrender to the reality of your circumstances right now in the gentlest way possible. And coinciding with that, or on the flip side of that, I really feel like your anger. I feel like it's time for it to be felt. It's time for it to be seen. It's time for it to be witnessed. It's powerful. The rage you have over the needs that didn't get met, the rage you have around the sickness. I just feel, Nicole, there's so much energy inside you, so much powerful, strong, righteous rage that wants to be moved and expressed. And I feel like so much of your creative power is sort of like tied up in that and it's pushed down because I feel like it's never had the chance to really be moved and embodied. And so for me, the connection here is I feel like the more that you can be gentle with yourself, surrender the demand, receive all the help you need, the safer it's going to become for you to start to let through the powerful anger that is yours to claim. And I'm not talking here about like leaking it unconsciously, blowing it up at your, at your lover, blowing up on friends. It's not leaky, unconscious reactivity. It's full-bodied ownership of this powerful energy inside you that's yours. I think it's going to unleash so much for you creatively. It's going to get you to know your own strength. It's going to get you to know your own safety. And again, then you're going to be in a place where I feel like your system is going to feel ready for everything that wants to come towards you creatively. So hopefully this all makes sense. If you have any questions, I mean, you know me, so you can hit me up. The last thing I just want to say to you, Nicole, is like, I really feel the power of your creative self, and I see you on stage, doing the stand-up comedy, and I see the humor, I see the darkness, I see the heart. I feel like you have such heart-based aggression that's in service. You have such a strong voice. And the gentleness with yourself combined with the willingness to feel your anger is going to let that voice through. And I just think at that point, you're going to be unstoppable. So hopefully this all makes sense. Okay, so moving on. Next we have, okay, so this is another big one. So this is Iris. Iris writes, how can I have more nourishing fun and mutually supportive female friendships while still pursuing my dreams in Hollywood? She goes on to explain some of her history. I seem to become codependent with friends really, really easily and then burn out. In order to keep myself safe, I withdraw and I isolate. But my heart's longing for true friends. I find people cut me off and I cut people off as well. I get so confused when I'm broken up with by a female friend. I never understand why or what I've done wrong. Also, conversely, if I feel a friend is trying to take advantage of me or compete with me or is unstable in some way, I will push them away. My underlying feeling is, oh my God, why are women so delicate, complicated, psychotic, and high maintenance? But men are so much easier to me. Men will fuck you, but women will fuck with you. Women can be devastatingly cruel, like heartbreaking. Okay, great. So I love this. This is a great, juicy question about female friendship. So Iris, oh yes, again, like with Nicole, this is such a huge issue. And I feel my heart so strongly. This is an issue of the heart. So what I want to say to you, and I actually am getting really excited feeling into this. I feel excited for you. I feel like this is such a gateway for you. Honestly, what comes to me really simply when I read all this and feel into it is I want to know how you fuck with women. I want to know about your cruelty towards women, and I want to know about the place in you that truly hates women. I feel like, you went into a lot of your history around women and your relationship with your mother. And so to me, it is a no-brainer that there is a part of you inside that absolutely fucking hates women with everything you've got. And I don't know if you've done work around, I know you've done a lot of work on yourself. I don't know if you've done work around this specific piece yet. I've done some work with you. I haven't seen you work this specific piece. I feel like for you, this is all about, first of all, I want to say this is all about the relationship with the woman inside you. That feels really, this has nothing to do at this point with the women outside you. This is about the relationship you have to the woman inside you. And I can imagine because of how you grew up and the cruelty that you received from the women in your life, it would feel very like you have such an image of what it is to be on the receiving end of female hatred, female contempt, female anger. So I can imagine for you, it might feel very, just very intimidating and very unpleasant to think about embodying that for yourself, for getting in touch with your own female hatred and female rage. But it really feels like the key. I mean, you're talking about it here. You are in some way playing games. It's like I become codependent, and then I burn out to keep myself safe. I withdraw and I isolate. You know, this is the way that you fuck around with other women. You know, and it's interesting because you wrote my aunt, my cousin, and my other aunt. I guess I feel like the women in my family really scapegoated me. Like they needed someone to hate. The men in our family were really abusive, my father and my grandfather, but rather than blame the perpetrator, they needed to blame another woman. And so for me, this is so interesting because what I hear you saying is that you are drawn to men, drawn to men, drawn to men, and women are the ones who are cruel. Women are the ones who will fuck with you. So in a way, I kind of see that dynamic already playing out on more of an unconscious or semi-conscious level where you two are kind of scapegoating the women now. And so I feel like for you, the truly powerful thing is rather than semi-consciously scapegoating the women, really finding places and avenues for you to go all the way into the hatred, all the way into the disgust, all the way into the place that says, I fucking hate women and I want to punish you. If you're a woman, I want to take something out on you. If you're a woman, I want to protect something in me by fucking with you. If you're a woman, which is really, you know, what your relatives were doing to you, right? So it's to own the place inside you, Iris, that says, I will fucking look all around and make problems with women, other women, and make other women the problem so that I don't have to feel something of myself in here. And I think in that place, you actually are going to get to know these relatives in a deeper, more compassionate way, which of course does not mean you need to be in relationship with them, but it's just, you're going to kind of understand more why they did to you what they did, because there's a version of it that you're now living yourself. I think the last thing that I want to say to you is, you know, you mentioned sort of at the very end, there was one day in college when I was too tired to give anything. I walked into this party and all these women who I had been endlessly trying to get to like me, they responded to my surrendered energy. How do I do that? How do I let the right ones in? And I just want to say, like, that question, like, how do I let the right ones in? How do I do that? You know, should I see this kind of therapist? Should I see that kind of therapist? This is all just busy work, Iris. You can't control it. You can't control it. Don't worry about letting the right one in or let the wrong one in. Follow your impulses. Take risks. Take chances. And then if you've let the wrong one in, don't withdraw and isolate. Be honest. Draw boundaries. Be clear in your feelings. Make a mess. Get hurt. That's sort of being in the process of life. It's being in the process of relationship. You can't control the situation. And every time you kind of find yourself in your head trying to like find the right answer that's going to unlock the mystery to your relationships with women, this is just you playing games. This is just you trying to control things. And this is just the part of you that's kind of saying on an unconscious level, I'm going to fuck around with women. I'm not going to be straight with women. I'm not going to like be in the full force of my rage and also my love. Because I'm telling you, right underneath that rage is the love for women. So hopefully this all makes sense. We're speaking about some sophisticated principles here. But Iris, I'm telling you, first and foremost, get to know that hatred of women. And that is going to unlock your willingness to be open to, again, I feel like the woman inside you, which will make you open to female friendship, to female relationship. When you know that you can have your range and your anger, you'll feel your power and you'll feel strong. And you'll trust yourself to be in relationship and to be in process and to be, you know, in this mess of life. Okay, so hopefully that made sense. Okay, great. So now we are moving on to Lauren's question. Okay, this is really simple. So Lauren wrote, she has a relationship with a very successful boss. It's super easy. It's complicated because they're friends, but I'm fortunate because she's the best. She's the easiest. And honestly, I don't always have a lot to do for her. Right now, I'm really going through a time where I have a lot of free time to work on myself, which I have been. I'm a little nervous that I'm working too closely with someone who's in the spotlight, because maybe I'm too scared to step out on my own and shine. But I really do think she's a big part of my process, and I will work with her for a little longer, but eventually grow to find my own voice more. And then she just sort of articulates a fear. I feel like right now that because I'm so comfortable in this job, that I'm not working hard enough, but I also just think I'm too hard on myself in general, and that even my not working hard enough is still so much more than any other person. So yeah, Lauren, I just want to really reflect to you. You know, I read everything you wrote, and oh, actually, I don't know. I'm just suddenly touched. Like, yeah, I really want to reflect to you. Yeah, you know, everything's great. Everything's fine. Like, I think you have nothing to worry about. And honestly, when I read your fear, what I really started hearing come to me was enjoy the freedom, enjoy the space, enjoy the money. I really heard that. Enjoy the money. And I feel like your task right now is to truly learn to enjoy all this. This is your process right now. And, you know, I mean, you said it yourself that you've already learned that in this time of patience is when I have really seen the most growth. Exactly. So you've already got it covered. You know it's your job to be patient right now. You know you're in a process. You're aware of like where, you know, you could maybe be hiding out, but you know that, you know, this actually feels like the right process at the right time for you. So I just want to really support you to trust it. It feels good to me. It feels right to me. And I think like the more that you can sort of let yourself enjoy this and give yourself this sort of abundance of space and time and money and opportunity, that is going to keep informing your process. I think the only other thing that I really have to say about this is, you know, it's funny because it's like, I hear you saying that you're learning to be patient and, you know, you're sort of surrendering to the process. And yet, you know, I'm also aware you submitted this question to me, and there's really not even much of a question. So I can feel this place in you that's still a little kind of like, you know, there's like a little bit of a Mexican jumping bean. There's a little bit of anxiety here. It's like, you know, and I think actually this is your creative energy. That's what I want to say. This is your creative, you have a lot of creative energy, Lauren. I can feel it. And it's kind of ready to go. And you're sort of in this place right now where it's your job to be patient and enjoy the space, but you've got so much in you that wants to get moving. So what I would suggest and recommend to you is I really sort of hear something about creative expression. Like, you do not have to wait until you're sort of striking out on your own to be creatively expressive. And you don't have to be creatively expressive in a way that's about direct, immediate results right now. I would love for you to start putting this creative energy into some form of expression, whether it's painting, working with your hands, dancing. There's just a lot in you. And I do kind of maybe pick up on something like there's some place where you almost feel like you're too much. Like if you kind of let this creative energy through, it's too much. Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, I hear this voice. It's just like, it's too much, it's too much, it's too much. You know, it's not too much. And you wrote that sort of towards the end, you wrote, sometimes I feel misunderstood, not by my boss, but I often feel misunderstood by others. And I want to say, like, Lauren, I can feel it. You march to the beat of your own drummer. And, you know, I'm a weird guy. I can kind of feel you're a little bit of a weird woman. I mean that affectionately. I mean that in the best way. You know, you wrote, I honest to God know I'm going to be a mogul one day. I'm here to inspire people. And Lauren, that's going to come from the place where you're weird. It's going to come from the place where you've got all this big creative energy. So just start putting it into something. Trust the process. Appreciate the space you have now. You deserve it. You've earned it. And let this energy run in a way that feels good to you. And, you know, I just feel energized talking about this. So, yeah, I think that's it for you, Lauren. Hold on, I'm kind of getting a message just to hang out with it for one more second. This energy, that's this intense creative energy, it's in the pelvis. So I'm just gonna kind of let this through. I do feel this part of you that's kind of saying, I won't let this through all the way. Sorry if this is loud. It's too much, it's too much, it's too much. Yeah. So, it's just sometimes it's painful to be misunderstood. Sometimes it's painful to be My dog gets concerned when I get loud. Sometimes it's painful to be misunderstood, and you might get sad. You might get sad. Um, you might have all of your creative energy. It might be big. It might be messy. You might get misunderstood, and then you might just have to feel the pain of being misunderstood, and that's okay. You'll live, and guess what? If you're going to be a mogul, if you're going to be as big as Oprah, you're going to get misunderstood a lot. People are going to have a lot of opinions. So get used to it. Get used to it. Get used to it. Have your own back. Know your own goodness. It's okay to feel sad, to be misunderstood, but don't let it keep you from expressing your creative energy all the way. Okay, great. So you're doing great. So that was Lauren. Okay, so now we are with you. How's everyone doing? I hope you're all hanging in there. Now we're with you, Mijan. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Oh boy, okay, there's a lot here. There's a lot here. You're another one. I mean, it's like I just immediately feel the overwhelm. I feel the overwhelm. And even before, like I read one sentence of your worksheet and I just started I heard the word busy, 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 busy over and over. Okay, so ever since I can remember, I feel, so basically, I'm just going to summarize. Mijan really has a strong drive to be a creative, to be an artist. He's living at home with his mother. And can barely afford to keep the standard of living and support his sister. His mother, I guess, is supporting him and his sister. I know that I'm going after the right thing. I want to inspire people to dream, to achieve, to love themselves, laugh at life, and to forgive through media. Sadly, I cannot get there without money. And what I'm doing right now is just not working. And later you write, if my mother died tomorrow, my life simply wouldn't be possible. I have so many ideas for what to do next, but I am afraid to take the next step. So, okay. And then you write later, I can never focus on one thing. I start things and then it just fizzles out. And then you write, the reason I am flailing, this is a judgment you have, the reason I'm flailing is because I'm not ready or simply not charismatic, self-expressed enough. Okay. So first of all, I'm just so aware of my heart here. I feel your heart, Mijan. It's like so big. It has so much to offer. It touches me. I feel a lot of grief. I feel a lot of sadness. What I want to say to you, and part of me like cringes to say this because I know it's not exactly what you're going to want to hear right now, but I think it's absolutely what you need to hear. It's like, what's going on here is you are focused on so many things all at once that you're not getting anywhere. And it's like you're focusing on, it's like when you say, if my mother died tomorrow, my life simply wouldn't be possible. Like, to me, that's like a reality check. Like, what I want to say to you is like, you need to get into reality about what's going on. I feel like I totally support you as an artist and as a creative, and I absolutely believe you have so much to offer and so much to say. There is a part of you that does not want to use your creative voice at all. And a part of you refuses to let this voice out. And much like with Lauren, just before you, I have this feeling like there's a feeling like it's too much. It's too big. It's too much. I'm going to be rejected. And so what happens is your mind tries to do every single thing it wants to get ahead. And it's telling you, I want success, I want success. And that's why I'm trying to do 5 million things at once to get successful. But unconsciously, this is the place that sabotages you, because you're trying to do 5 million things at once. And as a result, you don't get one thing done. And meanwhile, you don't even support yourself financially. And if your mother were out of the picture, you don't know how you would support yourself. So you're trying to build this empire of creativity on quicksand. And so, Mijan, like, I just think it's so important for you first and foremost to understand there's a deep place inside that is so scared of bringing your creative voice out all the way. And the way that it manifests itself is by trying to do 5,000 things at once and then not really being in reality about sort of what's going on financially. So what I want to say to you first and foremost, the biggest gift that you can do for give to yourself and give to your creativity is to frickin' scale down right now. Scale down and focus on building a sustainable life for yourself. I don't think now is the time to be worrying about the workshops and the agents and the auditions. Like, now is the time to be thinking about, like, how can you be self-sustaining through your own income? How can you get yourself to a position where you can support yourself and live on your own and have just a foundation in life? To be in a situation where if your mother, God forbid, passed away, you're not dependent on her. Now, the reason why I cringe to say that, I feel like your immediate reaction might be like, oh God, that's not, like, basically you're saying to give up on my creative dreams. Oh God, if I focus on that, who knows when I'm going to be successful? It'll never happen. And what I want to say to you is that none of that is true. This is what I feel you need to do in support of your creative dreams. It's to build the foundation. And what's going to happen, Mijan, part of you I feel does not want, I feel like there's a lot going on emotionally with you that you may not even be aware of yet. I feel like there's a lot going on emotionally with you that you need to deal with. And the way you avoid those feelings and those emotions is by staying stuck in the chaos of trying to do 5 million things at once. And so if you actually scale back, focus on finding work that can support you, moving out on your own, being like a functioning independent adult, you're going to get into reality with your own emotional life. And that's going to be the place where your art is going to flourish. That is what you are here to express. That is what you are here to explore. That's what you're here to offer the world. It's all that rich emotional life that right now I feel like you are not feeling because you're so busy trying to juggle 5,000 balls at once. I feel like you can focus, and I want to give you some resources, by the way. I don't know where you are, in the US, if you are in the US, but I really, there are 12-step programs that deal with this. There's something called Debtors Anonymous that is specifically for people, who compulsively under-earn, for people who have problems with money. There's Under-Earners Anonymous for people who compulsively don't earn enough money. And you might also look into Al-Anon, which is about codependency, because I hear something going on with you and your mother. These are free. And these are resources for you that can help you get into right relationship with money, get into reality with money, so you can get into reality with your emotional life. And by the way, there's nothing to stop you, like as you're working on your relationship with money and getting self-sufficient and getting independent, there's nothing to stop you from starting your podcast. There's nothing to stop you from writing. And the best thing about it is now there's not a ton of pressure on it to earn you money, which kills the creative spirit because it's such a huge demand and it's such huge pressure that you can actually be in the joy of the creativity, which is, how we generate success anyway. So, Mijan, that's kind of the thrust of what I really want to say to you. And it actually kind of feels like an urgent message. I really feel like your task right now is to get into reality about what is going on and to start setting up a life for yourself where you can support yourself and you're not in quicksand and you're not relying on your creative work to be the magical cure-all that's going to help you to move out of your mother's house. It's not realistic. It's like hoping to win the lottery, as your business plan. You've got to get the foundation in place and getting into right relationship with money, finding work that can sustain you, living on your own as an independent man. These are the things that are going to get you into right relationship with your feelings, with your emotions, and that's going to feed your creativity. So please keep in touch and let me know, what happens. I just want to take a second, actually. Like, I can feel myself kind of skipping over something. I think the last thing I want to say to you, Mijan, is like, it's a lot of grief here. There's a lot of sadness here. You know, you didn't mention your father. For some reason, I'm feeling him. I'm feeling actually the lack of his presence. There's a lot for you to feel, and you can't escape that. You can't escape that. So, like I said, check out DA, check out UA, deal with the money stuff. Start feeling your feelings, start feeling your sadness. Your creativity is going to come from there. You have a beautiful heart. Your feelings are beautiful. I actually am feeling sort of support for what I'm saying right now, like on a spiritual level. Like, guides are here kind of like saying, yes, 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 please give yourself a year. Just back off the demands, back off the pressure. Think about, what would it take for me a year from now to be self-supporting through my own income, living on my own, and having a feeling of safety and security. That's the key to your creative success, I'm telling you. Okay. Okay. I'm so grateful to everyone who submitted a question. It's very vulnerable, and you know, and I love this work. I love, you know, being in relationship with people like this. Okay, so I'm moving on to the next question. And again, if anyone has any questions about anything I'm saying, feel free to ask. And if you have a question for yourself that you just want a quick hit, I'll see if something comes to me. I know, Daryl, I was waiting for it, but I'll do more. And you can always book a reading. Okay, I'm glad Mijan said that was powerful. Okay, I'm glad you were able to hear that. You know, I get a little codependent sometimes. I want the message to be received. I know that I can't control whether it's received, but I want it to be received. So I'm glad it sounds like you received it, Mijan. And I'm really rooting for you. And I really do feel spiritual support for you. Okay. Woo! Okay. So now we're on to Sarah. So I had an amazing childhood until I didn't. When I was age 15, my father had a stroke, and his personality changed from a doting, loving father to an emotionally unavailable person. My brother and I were no longer, it seemed, important. At the same time, 2 long-term affairs he had been having with my mother's best friends came to the surface. I found out and had to tell my mom, and my mother left him and left us alone with his emotionally and physically unfit father. My relationship with him was never the same, and many attempts I had with him over the years were never reciprocated. So our relationship was very strained until his death last year. And her question is, how do I let go of the past to move forward with confidence on my creative expression? And later on, she writes, one of her fears or her judgments of herself is, I'm too old to create a new line of products that sell skincare. Okay, Sarah. So, you know, Sarah, first of all, I just really want to acknowledge you first and foremost. Because Sarah, elsewhere talks about she's had. So first of all, I actually went to your website, and it's lovely. She has a design business, and I would totally give you a plug right now, but I don't know if you want to stay confidential, so I won't. But you've clearly, you've already been in your creative energy. You've created what looks like a successful business. You have had children of your own that it seems you've successfully raised. So it just feels very important for me to really sort of acknowledge what you've already done, the process you're already in. And you wrote here you've done years of therapy already. So truly, I don't know if you acknowledge yourself. I hope you do. And if and when you listen to this, I really want you, this is not just sort of bullshit lip service. This is a feeling coming through me of genuinely wanting to acknowledge what you have already done and seeing the goodness of your heart and spirit and sort of, fighting for your creativity and fighting for your spirit and fighting for your heart. So truly, take that into the best. I say that and I feel the place where the heart kind of wants to pull back from it. So to the best of your ability, I hope that you can take that in. I want to say, Sarah, how do I let go of the past and move forward with confidence on my creative expression? You know, there's a few things that I want to say, especially since you've already done a lot of work on yourself. Hold on. I mean, of course, I can really understand, right, why there'd be resistance to really. I mean, I'm assuming the skincare line is where your heart lies, or else you wouldn't have mentioned it. So, of course, when the bottom has dropped out from under you as a child and you're abandoned by both your mother and your father, I can, of course, understand why there's going to be resistance to be in the fullness of your creative heart energy, because there's such a kind of lesson there that it's sort of not safe, and that the bottom's going to drop out from under you at any time. So, I want to say, sort of first and foremost, like with some of the others, I'm really drawn to your anger. And I'm really wondering if in all your therapy, you've allowed yourself to really embody and express the rage. The place that says, fuck you for abandoning me. The place that says, this isn't fair. The place that says no. There's a place I feel inside you that had to go silent when all this stuff happened. And like, there was protest. There was protest of like, no, it's not okay that I'm the one to tell my mother about these affairs. No, it's not okay that I'm being left with my, physically and emotionally unfit father. And I am imagining you had to stifle these protests. And so what I really feel for you, Sarah, it's like, especially because it's like I just feel all this energy stuck in the pelvis. And to me, that's the creativity and it's the rage. And I feel like, because you are such a strong person, actually, who's already created so much, I feel like if you can, and I believe you're in California, so if you want resources for this, email me or get in touch with me, and I can maybe put you in touch with some people who can help you. I just feel like allowing that energy to move and expressing that again in an intentional and empowered and conscious way, where this is my rage that got pushed down. It's mine. It's righteous. I'm allowed to have it. It's here. I'm not holding back anymore. It's, first of all, it's just going to allow an energy that's been stuck to move through powerfully. So that's just, there's just a place where something got shut down. So you're just going to open the door. But then above and beyond that, you start to know your own strength better and more intimately. And so what that means is that you don't have to be so scared of the unknown. You don't have to be so scared of the rug getting pulled out from under you, because life is different today. When you were a kid, you weren't allowed the protest. You kind of had to zipper the mouth shut. As an adult, you don't have to do that. So if you know that you have access to the place inside that says no, if you know that you have access to the place inside that says this isn't okay, if you know that you have access to the place inside that has a protest, then you're going to feel a lot freer to sort of bring your sort of creative voice and your vulnerable expression to the world, because you know that you've got your own back. So I would really, really, really encourage you to find an outlet for embodied conscious expression of that anger that got shut down when you were young. I think above and beyond that, like, I also, had an image for you of really, again, you mentioned this fear of too old to create a new line of products that sell skincare. I'm assuming you're passionate about this, or else you wouldn't have mentioned it. So I would love for you to also kind of reparent yourself. Have you let yourself really know and feel and understand why you're so passionate about this? Like, what it is about the skincare line that turns you on? Like, I would love for you to actually sort of write it out, see it, feel the desire, feel the place in you that wants it so badly and why. And then just to like literally energetically protect it. Whatever that means to you. If you write it out and you want to hide it somewhere, if you want to have a visualization of protecting it, again, it's just about creating the fire of desire, creating the fire of passion, creating the thing you want, and then in a really gentle, loving way, creating kind of a protective container for it, knowing that, you're basically indicating to yourself and your psyche that it is safe for you to stoke this fire. It is safe for you to have this longing. And, I think from there, sort of starting to go out with it and understanding, like, you know, I want to say to you, just going back to your original question, how do I let go of the past to move forward with confidence on my creative expression? You know, you don't have to be perfectly confident to go forward with it. And it's okay to go forward with it still shaky and still scared and still nervous and having fears and self-judgments and self-doubts. I do it all the time. I think you heard me on Bitch Sesh. I was terrified to go on that podcast. Terrified. I'm terrified all the time, and I still do things. And then that becomes the process of transformation. Feelings come up and you get to deal with them. So please don't let the image that you need to kind of like be perfectly confident stop you from moving forward with this passion. And don't be too precious, you know, with guarding this passion. And I think the last thing that I just really saw for you, Sarah, I keep getting this image of you painting. And I don't know if it's literal or figurative, but I see you painting in vivid, bright, deep red colors. And I think for me, what I'm getting from this is like, I just want to see you expressing yourself without any sort of censorship. So if it's in some sort of artistic medium, I think just the practice of, I am going to express myself. I am putting myself out there. I'm not going to censor. I'm not going to shut down. I'm not going to think about what it looks like. To me, that just feels like a really good practice for you. But again, you know, mostly I just want to acknowledge you for all the work that you've done thus far. And honestly, I think the key for you, the anger, your little girl, she's allowed to have it. It's time. I feel like there's so much, actually, as I'm saying this, I really feel like there's so much powerful energy that's going to come with that anger. You already are powerful. You've already created so much. And so when you let forth this energy that was sort of forbidden and you weren't allowed to have when you were young, that my sense has probably stayed stuck all this time, I just feel like the sky is the limit for you. And yes, I know that it's also scary, and that's fine. You know, you'll deal with that fear as it comes up. So hopefully that was helpful. And do reach out if you want some resources to help you. Oh, good. Thank you, Philip. Thank you. I'm glad. That's, you know, and again, you know, for anyone who's watching this, you know, I'm answering specific questions, but my intention really is to inspire feelings in you and intuition in you, and hopefully it reverberates with you in some way, even if it has nothing to do, you know, with what I'm talking about. Okay, well, I'll come back to that, Daryl, at the end, but congratulations about your wife. I am hearing something about, like, when I read that your wife got pregnant, I hear creation, creativity. I mean, you've literally created life, but this feels like it's holding something probably for both of you creatively. But let me sort of circle back around to that, because I just want to get through all these other questions. You're forgiven. Okay, so this is Kirsten. I'm really excited about this one. So Kirsten is getting close to writing a story in 3 parts, probably novella length. She has a pretty clear picture of the main character and a more blurry idea of the story. Anyways, I am not sure whether I should just start to write or get the structure first, because my impulse is to just start writing, but my experience in writing for radio, or anything else for that matter, is that I like to have a structure in the beginning. It makes it easier for me to write, and even though I regularly forget about that structure very fast once I start writing, it gives me something to come back to in case I get stuck with the writing. So far, it has always been a great help. On the other hand, I feel like it is an excuse to not start writing and think about the structure and the characters more. She later says, this being torn takes up time I could be using to write. I feel like I'm getting nowhere with it. She has a fear that she's wasting her time. And later she says a judgment that she should be helping her husband earn more money to keep her lifestyle afloat instead of doing something just for herself. She also has a judgment that she can't believe she's still working on this story. And this is a key thing that I'm going to read, and then I'm going to get into the answer. I want this to be a bestseller, not just writing the story down or doing it for myself. I want thousands of people reading these stories. I want it to be my step into the next phase of my life, to be the writer who has a good life, doing what she loves to do. And then she says, I'm more drawn to starting to write It makes me feel more excited. I'm mostly just scared to do it out of the fears and judgments mentioned above. Writing's like falling, drifting without anything to hold on to. Creating structure is more familiar. It gives me something to hold on to, and there seems to be a good idea to have structure before I start writing. Okay. I mean, you kind of like outed yourself at the end. Yeah, Kirsten, first of all, I'm so excited for you. I'm so excited for you. I hope it's okay to say that Kirsten's an old client of mine, and we worked on her writing years ago, and your writing, I've watched your writing flourish. She's become a published author since we worked together, and I just feel your intention, and I feel your desire. Again, kind of like with Sarah, I just really want to acknowledge your path so far, because I've known you for several years now, and sometimes it's so hard for us to see the forest through the trees and understand like how far we've come. And I see you stepping into this embodied life as a writer, and I absolutely feel that this thing you're going to write totally holds you stepping into the next phase of your life. So having said that, I just feel like this whole conversation, Kirsten, is just a way for you to stay stuck. You are keeping yourself stuck by worrying about staying stuck. I mean, this is what I want to say to you, Kirsten. Like, it feels like your desire for this to become the bestseller that transforms your life, in some ways what's happening now is you feel like you have to do the next phase of this process perfectly. And that need and desire to do it perfectly is the thing that's getting you hung up and stuck. So what I want to say to you, Kirsten, is you are still just in your process. This is one step along the way. You do not have to get this next step perfectly right. You just have to take the next step and then get information from it. If it doesn't work, then it's time to take a different step. If it works, great. That's where you are, baby, one step at a time. And it's like that, the place that's kind of spinning out about this, I feel it in my heart. It's just that residual place that's, you've got this wild energy in you. And it's like, I feel the fire that wants to come through in this book. And I just think it's this residual place. It's just like, I'm not going to let this wild energy move. I'm not going to let this wild energy move. I think it's a place that, like a residual place that still doesn't fully trust that it's okay to let it move. And I'm feeling it right now. And it's just, what it's saying is like, I want to move. 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 It's frustrated. It's frustrated, Kirsten. So I'm letting it move through me right now. So what I want to say is you have your answer. You want to kind of take your stab at writing. That's what's exciting you. So what I want to say is this. I want to give you permission to do that. And what I want to say is this. I think the structure that you need right now isn't knowing a structure for the story. I actually think you want a structure for the creative process. So what I want to ask you and invite you to do is like, is there a way to just create a little bit of structure to hold this next step of experimentation? So rather than just feeling adrift, like you're going to spend like eternity going nowhere, just sort of writing a bunch of, stuff that goes nowhere, can you give yourself a framework? I mean, whatever feels right to you, but like, I'm going to take 2 weeks and give myself that space to just write everything that wants to come through. Or, I'm going to take a 48-hour writer's retreat and just give myself the space to write everything that comes through. Or, hey, I have this like accountability buddy where at the end of 2 weeks, I'm going to check in and report back what I've discovered and what I've found, and then check in with myself like for what needs to happen next. So, what I want to say, Kirsten, I don't think it's either or. Like, I feel like you can give yourself the space to like write spontaneously and wildly and let it come, and then see what emerges. And then from there, maybe you're going to get some information about the structure, and then, you can sort of write in that structured way that feels good. So again, this is just another way of saying like, you don't have to have it all figured out right now, but can you just follow what feels good right now, knowing it doesn't have to be the final answer? It's like, what's that game show? Like, I feel like, there's some game show like Final Answer. This isn't Final Answer. Like, this isn't Final Answer. Like, give yourself permission to just be free with it. But like I said, I do feel like what's wanted here It's just some sort of structure for the process. So drop into that creative fire inside you, get clear on what it is that would feel good as far as just some sort of structure to hold the process so you're not going to be adrift forever in this phase. Give yourself some sort of container to hold it, some sort of deadline, and then see where you're at. But it's just step by step. And the other thing that I want to say to you, Kirsten, because, you know, I do feel this wildfire that wants to come through, is find places to express that. Like, keep expressing that. Like, I know how well you do with that. Like, I don't know what it is that helps you embody that. If you want to go and dance, ecstatic dancing, if you want to find, you know, a sort of core energetics workshop, whatever it is, keep getting. I just know from knowing you, every time you get into the stuck place, it's about letting the wildness out. It's about letting the heart energy move. And it never fails to get you energized and in your deeper knowing. So hopefully that helps you. Okay, moving right along. Now we have, oh, I love this one. Yes, who wants to be a millionaire? Is that your final answer? Thank you, Philip. Yes, final answer. We always, I mean, this is what we do. We always think it needs to be the final answer, right? I mean, this is how we crush process. It's like, final answer. It's never final answer. It's just one step. And then you get information. And then you get to make another choice. And so it's like, if you can just create that space for yourself and process and understand, it's never final answer. It's just an opportunity to get more information and then step back and say, hey, how did this feel? Did this work? Oh no. Whenever we're in final answer, this is a very important thing to say about creative process and life process. Whenever we're in that place of final answer, it is the part of us that actually wants to stay stuck. It's the part of us that doesn't want to express ourselves. It's the part of us that doesn't want to take the risk of being seen. Anytime you're fixated on final answer, it's the part of you that just wants to control the situation. So just know, when you're in that mentality of final answer, final answer, final answer, that's the time to kind of step back, maybe express the frustration and the anger that's there. That's like the part of you that's saying, I'm staying stuck. And instead just see what it's like to just take the next step and to be willing to be in your process. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, I love this one. So this is from Jennifer. So I have a male friend whom I hang out with quite often. This is a juicy one. We always have fun, and I think there is some sexual tension. He says that he's straight, but he is much more sensitive, kind, into the arts than your typical straight guy. It's getting to the point where I get so sexually frustrated when we hang out. I thought that he had a crush on me when we first met, but I may have blown him off. I want to know where I stand and where his feelings lie, but I don't want to be the assertive one. I want to either know his feelings and go from there or move on to try to find someone else. It's almost getting to the point where I don't want to spend time with him due to the sexual frustration. I would be devastated if he weren't interested, but I'm also kind of afraid that maybe he is, ding, ding, ding. And her fear is getting into a relationship and figuring out that he's not the one, and then she's stuck. Okay, Jennifer, let me just make this really simple for you. So first of all, let me just sort of cut to the chase. You have to have this conversation with him. You have to let him know how you feel. And this is what I want to say to you. This isn't about him. This is not about him and whether he says yes or no. It's not about him and whether he's the right guy for you. It's not about him and whether you're going to be in a relationship or not. This is about you and your own relationship to what you want, to your romantic longing, your romantic desire, your sexual longing, your sexual desire. You are not letting that move. You are using this situation to keep it stuck and held down. You know what you want. You know you have an interest in him. And so it's your job now, if you're to say yes to your own energy, it's your job just to presence that and to have a conversation with him so you can get clear on where he's actually at. And all this other, I mean, even when I start to talk about all this other stuff, the questions about, is he gay? Is he not gay? Does he want me? You know, is this the right thing? It's like I start, my jaw goes, my hands go. It's like there's an energy in you that's so thwarted and so frustrated, like you are not willing to let your romantic longing and sexual longing come through, and you're using this guy as an excuse to just not articulate it. So what I want to say to you, first of all, I want to say my feeling in reading this is actually, I do think that you are quite assertive. That's my feeling. I feel like you have assertive romantic sexual energy. And I can feel a place where maybe you're scared of that. And I totally, I understand, we all have our shame. But I feel like for you, this is how I want to reframe this whole thing for you. First of all, be willing to risk the friendship. Be willing to risk the friendship. It's fine. You putting yourself out there with this guy and letting him know how you feel, it is not about whether or not you end up in a relationship. It is about you saying yes to the things you want. So therefore, if he is not going to reciprocate, great, bye. And now there is space for what you actually want. And because you're saying yes to what you actually want, even if it's not met by him, you're creating the energy of yes to your desire and to your romantic longing and to your sexuality. So that's the whole point of this. That's the whole point of this. And as far as all the other stuff about like, what if he is into me and then we're in a relationship and then he's not the one? Okay, so then you break up. And then you move on to the next guy. I mean, this is the process of your life. But like right now, you're trying to manage and control everything. And again, you're just saying no to your own energy and you're using it as an excuse. So there's a beautiful opportunity here for you to change your story. Stop being frustrated. Stop being sexually frustrated. Take your time with it if you need. It feels like it's going to be a big deal for you. It feels like it's vulnerable. So, get your ducks in a row, but be visible. Be transparent, reach for what you want. Don't worry about whether he's gay, whether it's right, whether it's wrong, whether he says yes. If he says no and it hurts, great, cry. Feel the pain and then move on. Be in the flow of your life. Be in the flow of your life. Let your energy move. Reach for what you want. Reach for what you want. It's the greatest gift you could give yourself, and it's the greatest gift this guy could give you, that he's sparking your desire, because now you get to reach for what you want. The rest of the stuff, the rest of the stuff is just the part of you that's saying no. It's the part of you that's saying no. I will never let myself have what I want. I'll never let myself have I'll never be sexually fulfilled. I'll never have my longing. I'll never have my desire. That's the part of you that's asking all these questions. You have strong, powerful sexual energy. I can feel it, and it wants to run through you. So reach for what you want. So we're getting down to the last two questions. And again, feel free to pipe in. Okay. So this is Joan. Okay, this is another deep one. I'm just going to take a breath for a moment. It's fun. I hope everything makes sense. Okay, I've always loved sweets, but in the last few years, I've felt that my relationship to eating sugar is compulsive. It's one of the last vestiges of self-destructive behavior in my life. I eat candy every day, and I eat till I regret it and feel exhausted. It's not technically a binge. This isn't an eating disorder, and it doesn't impact my weight that much, but there's definitely a compulsivity to it. I feel like it's emotional and it's tied to my relationship with my body, and it's a childlike thing because it's sugar, and sugar was such a reward part of my childhood, but simultaneously a forbidden thing. It was upheld by one parent as a reward and the other as a danger. I have a strong sense right now of needing to finally step into my body and to learn to be kind to myself. I'm in awe of people who self-parent with compassion. I really want that. And I know that the sugar compulsion, if dealt with, can be a powerful gateway into a better relationship with myself. Okay, Joan. So this is another one where I just feel a lot here. I agree with you. This is a gateway. This is such a fucking gateway. So I just feel all this intense energy that just wants to come through. You are a powerful and intense woman. I really want to say that. I really want to say that. You are an intense and powerful woman, and it is getting buffered through the sugar addiction. I feel this part of you. I mean, I feel all this sort of negative pleasure attached to the sugar, and it feels so good. And this feels like such a sort of core part of your essence and your energy. I want to say I was so drawn to this place where you said sugar was such a reward part of my childhood, but simultaneously a forbidden thing. It was upheld by one parent as a reward and the other as a danger. I just feel this. It's something feels so seductive here. It feels like forbidden, danger, reward. I just feel this deep, kind of dark in a good way, seductive sexual energy here. So, you know, Joan, what I want to say, I mean, the question was, how can I quit my sugar addiction? First of all, I really want to give you permission and space to take your time with this. This feels like really big, and I know you've been doing a lot of work on yourself already. So, you know, you mentioned like, you know, seeing other people reparent themselves, and you wish you could do that for yourself. So number one, I just kind of want to give you a little assignment to help you with that. Like, I really want you to sit down, and maybe this can even be a writing assignment, and kind of imagine that, you know, one of your children were coming to you saying, like, kind of saying all this, like, I want to quit this sugar addiction. I don't know how to do it. And just really, like, literally, like, what would you tell your own children about this? Like, what would you tell, you know, your son about this? And like, maybe just literally write it down, because I have a feeling there's sort of a wisdom and a gentleness and a love that would come through that I would love to see you give yourself. And you are a parent, so you know what it means to be a parent. And I feel like if you can redirect that energy that you would sort of give to your children, to yourself, there you are reparenting yourself. But for me, as far as kind of how I would like to reparent you, I really do want to give you permission to like be in process with this. Like, no demands, give yourself time, give yourself space. There is a lot being held here. And I really want to reflect your wisdom that you name that for yourself, that you know this is a gateway and it's true. So your instincts are dead on. So please be patient with yourself. Give that little girl permission to be in process with sugar. You know, I just feel like for you, it's kind of like what I was saying to Nicole. I just sort of feel this place where it's not quite good little girl. Like, that's not what I'm feeling you had to be for your parents, but definitely neutered little girl. And there was this place that had anger and rage and protest that wasn't allowed to speak, and there was this place that had sexuality that wasn't allowed to speak. And these just feel like such, it makes me smile because it's so pleasurable. It's so like, you're such a powerful woman. I know I said it before, but I'm feeling it again. I mean, if this were an individual reading, I would go into this all the way. I'm not going to go into it all the way right now, but you are a powerful woman with a powerful, dark, I mean that in a good way, dark, heart-based sexuality. And again, like Nicole, like a heart-centered aggression. Like, you're wise, you know how to cut through the shit, you've got a strong voice, and you weren't allowed these parts of yourself. So what I want to say to you, Joan, I really want to support you to find places, one, to really express whatever anger is there. This feels key to you. I know who you are in real life. You are someone who has already manifested so much. You're already so successful. And it's just like, if you're manifesting this much, having still stifled this place inside that had a motherfucking protest. And this is it. I mean, I'm letting the vibration come through in my voice. I'm using the language, like, this is the energy of it, Joan. You have a fucking protest. You are a strong female. And your image of what a strong female looks like got morphed or distorted by your mother, who talked a lot about what strong women look like, but modeled something completely fucking different. And in that place, something in you got denied. And it is time to reclaim it. So please, I know you are in a city where there are people who can help you with this, and we can talk about that if you want, but you need to find support for that anger that was never allowed to speak. And then the sexuality. It's strong. So I don't know what your relationship is right now to your own sexuality, but you know, it's like, how connected are you to it? You know, do you let yourself really fantasize about the things that turn you on? Do you go deep into your pleasure? Like even the things that maybe are like shameful pleasure, like if it's pleasure, it's pleasure. It's like this thing needs to get activated. So, you know, I mean, to me, this is what the sugar, like, it's just like, again, when I think of you as a little girl eating the sugar, I just feel like the dark seduction, the forbidden energy, the place inside, it's just, this is sort of where all that delicious, dark, strong, feminine energy is going right now. And it does. It's like when I talk about that, my jaw starts to tense up because, you know, it's energy that ultimately wants to move. So part of you is very frustrated. But I feel like go towards the anger, go towards the sexuality. Those are the keys for you. And it gets me so excited to talk about. Like I'm feeling you in such a deep embodied way right now. And it feels so good. And again, I know you weren't allowed it when you were young, so of course there's a place where you're scared, but it's here for you. You're an adult woman now, and the last thing I want to say to you, Joan, is like your sexuality and your sexual needs do not need to be met in secret. They do not need to be met in secret. They do not need to be met in secret, and you don't need to be guiltily eating sugar in secret to get your needs met. So let me know if that makes sense to you. Okay, so this is actually the final question, and I'm just gonna take a peek if anyone, okay. That was good, I like that, that was fun. Let me just kind of clear that out for a second. So this question comes from Peter. So Peter used to run a business program, which he stopped running publicly, but he's considering starting it up again. I'd be interested in getting insight as to whether it's a good idea to restart it. It made money, but it was very hard to sell. It was hard to communicate it to people, to explain it in a way that they understood. The number one comment he got from participants afterwards was, "This is the best thing I've ever done, but if I knew what it was before I came, I never would have done it." Then you kind of go into some stuff about the mental back and forth. It could serve as a funnel for other parts of my business. It could tie into a book I'm releasing soon. But he says he's moved by the work. It's a big decision to boot it up again. It's going to take a lot of work and risk money. It could be a distraction, but I also think this work's important for my soul. Okay, Peter. It's interesting. This is another situation where oh God, it's interesting. I immediately, my whole body just tenses up, like immediately. It's just like, you know, and then again, I feel the tightness in my heart. Something in here is not moving. And there's a part of you that won't let this move. And it's interesting because it's like the way the question presents on the page is almost like very casual. Like, oh, okay, well, you know, I could, I couldn't. And I mean, not that you're not saying it's not a big deal, but your tone feels like it's not a big deal to me. And yet in my body, it feels like a bigger deal. So I think what really sort of comes through me around this is that, oh yeah, and it actually touches me. Like I really hear you when you say that this is soul work, and that you know, this is important to you, and that it means something to you. And I also really hear you when you say that it's a lot of effort, and it's stress, and it's time, and it's energy, and it's almost like what I want to kind of invite you, like, it's like I kind of want you just to drop the whole question of whether or not to do it. All of that, I start to, like, my body tenses up. It feels like busyness of the mind. Like my body gets shut down. It's like when you talk about I'm moved by the work, it's soul work, I light up. And when you start talking about like, well, it could be a funnel for other parts of my business, and it's like something in me just dies. And I want to say, Peter, like, I do feel there's a soul to this. I feel there's a soul to this. And it's almost like when you try to, like, it's almost like this tiny little candle light flicker of a flame that's kind of just getting started, but you keep trying to light it inside this ornate, huge marble fireplace that it needs to like be blazing to fill. And then it just kind of like kills it somehow because there's so much sort of stress on top of it. This is what I want to say to you, and I'm going to keep this really simple. There's two things that really jumped out at me. One, you wrote, the comment you get from people is, this is the best thing I've ever done, but if I knew what it was before I came, I never would have done it. That, to me, feels like such a huge key to what it is you're doing. So what I would want to know from you is, why is this the thing? You know, I think it's okay to say this for people listening. Peter is, he works with like business leaders, you know, very sort of successful business leaders. What I would want to know from you is, why, exactly why is this the thing that your client, a business leader, would never have done if they knew what it was? Like, why would they never do it? And why is it actually the best thing that they will ever do? Because it feels like that's the heart of what this thing is. Like, intuitively, it's like you're creating something that is the thing that a business leader would never do at first glance, and yet it is the thing that he or she actually needs. And I just sort of feel like, I don't know, as I say that, I'm hearing yes, yes, yes. Like there's a need you're filling, Peter. And I just, like, right now, it's like, it shouldn't even be about like making money, making it be successful, making it be a working part of your business. Like, there is a need you're filling here, Peter. And I think that leads me to the other thing that I'm drawn to, which it's like, it's soul work for you. And so what I want to know from you, and what I want you to get clear on for yourself, is, what about this do you love? Like, what part of your soul is this speaking to? Like, get clear on, like, literally write it out, and like, get clear on those attributes, and get clear on what about this is turning you on. And once you have that kind of roadmap of like, this is the thing that a business leader would never do, and this is absolutely why it's the best thing they will ever do. This is why this is my soul's work. This is what it fulfills in me. What I would love for you, Peter, is like, honestly, this is what's coming through, is just like, how do you start small? Like, how do you let this have a life of its own? Like, can you kind of ditch what you've done before, ditch what you think it's supposed to be, ditch, oh my God, how's it gonna like earn me the right amount of money, and let it take on a life of its own? Can you let it speak to you from a place of just like letting it breathe and be in its own spirit? And I think that's sort of what I'm feeling for you, Peter. It's like, I just really feel your heart here. And I just feel like the place where it's like, I think this is often your struggle. It's like, you know, the sort of being torn between the heart and the heart's expression and what the heart wants, and then just that kind of classic rigidity of what it's supposed to be, what it's supposed to look like, how it's supposed to earn you money, how it's supposed to be good or perfect. Like, I just feel like this is an opportunity to connect to something inside of you that is pure and good and wants to offer something, and just like let it be. Like, let it incubate. Like, maybe identify those core attributes and then like walk away from it without needing to know what to do with it for a while, you know, and then come back to it in a few days. And then it's just like, if I were just to take a next step, what would that be? Like, let it speak to you. Let your heart speak to you. Excuse me. And just, I really feel like, take away the pressure and the demand of it looking like what it needed to look like before. So that's that. Okay, I'm seeing that people are joining. I'm at the end. Maybe I'll just go back. I don't know if Daryl is still on here. He asked a question, and maybe if anyone else just has a really rapid results question, I can answer it. Daryl was saying, I need guidance in my life, path, and career. I'm not sure I'm on the right path. My business seems to be shrinking a bit. Any advice you have there would be great. I don't know, this feels like a lot for just a quick hit. I'm not sure I'm on the right path. My business seems to be shrinking a bit. Any advice you have there would be great. Yeah, like this feels big. I don't know, Daryl. Like I'm immediately again, my heart starts to get tight. My jaw starts to go. I'm hearing some major creative frustration. There is something so deep and powerful in you that wants to move, that's not moving. We're at the end, so I'm not going to like go all the way into it, but something in you wants to be born, and I'm really feeling sort of like a deep rage attached to this. Um, and I think something in you, is shutting business down because something else wants to be heard. I'm just going to leave it at that for now. Okay, well, you're still on, definitely. Yeah, there's a lot of energy here, Daryl. There's a lot of energy. Uh, there's a lot. There's a lot. So if you want, you can submit this for next time, and I'll go deeper into it. I've been on for an hour and a half now. You don't know what wants to come through. Is that? I think that would be good. I think that would serve you. We could go. He said maybe I need a private. We could go all the way into this energy. We could go all the way into this energy, and it's big. It's big energy, and okay. So we can be in touch with that offline. Okay, I guess I'm wrapping up. It's deeper than frustration. It's rage. It's rage, and yeah, there's more that I could say. I mean, there's things you've shared with me too in private. I mean, I feel the rage, and it's powerful. It holds a lot for you, and it's actually exciting. It's a big part of your energy, so it's actually good. So okay, I feel like we are at the end. Thank you, everyone who listened and who commented. If you want to submit a question, I'll definitely do this again. Send me an email. And of course, if you're interested in a reading, this is just a small taste of what it's like in an individual reading. I'll really follow the energy. I'll embody it. I'll let it move. So you can really see it reflected back to you. And also you can you yourself can experience your own feelings, your own kind of energy states, and a lot will come through. So you can reach out to me. You can go to my website, hollywoodreadings.com, or reach me at hollywoodreadings@gmail.com. And yeah, this was just really fun. And if you have any questions about anything that I said, feel free to reach out to me. I love hearing from people. And that's it. Okay. Oh, okay. Thank you, Natalie. It's great to see you. And I am looking forward to digging deeper with you too. Okay. I don't want to get off. This is so fun. I'll definitely do more of this in the future. Okay, guys. Thank you. Bye.